Previously, on 5 leagues from the borderlands, the Whitewood Mercenary Company set out on a crucial mission to rescue a priest from a group of murderous thugs. Ambushed by bandits en route, our intrepid adventurers have discovered a sinister plot. The would-be master of the town of Blackvale, Baron Blackheart, is in league with the diabolical forces of the Pale Cross, a necromantic cult bent on bringing ruin to the region. Our heroes unintentionally freed the only living heir of Blackvale, who for now was joined with the mercenaries in the hopes of killing the Baron, destroying the Pale Cross, and in turn freeing her people from tyranny. However, before any of this can be achieved, our heroes must first rescue a priest, get paid, fed, and maybe have a pint or 2. Or 10. After several hours on the road, the party drew near the bridge where the priest was being held captive. Beside the river stood an ancient ruin, and across its waters stretched a lone stone bridge, the only crossing for many leagues. With a small number of guards patrolling the ruin and bridge, it made sense to strike immediately, before any reinforcements decided to bolster the enemy's ranks. For this battle, it made sense to pick Scenario A, meet an engagement with a fetch something objective. That something obviously being the priest, but it also gave the party a time limit of 6 rounds to achieve the rescue. This added an extra level of pressure, as I imagine there will be other patrols in the area. So the heroes of the Whitewood Company would need to get in fast, grab the priest, and haul ass. The only difference with this version and the scenario in the book is there wouldn't be a roll on the objective table. These guys know what they need, and that's some old bold geezer with a beard. The type of enemies they'll be against are opportunistic pillagers. Felt right for a bunch of bandits and looters, and there'll be 6 of them with a sergeant as the leader. So with a few brief words of encouragement and strategy, the party readies their weapons and advance on the enemy. During turn 1, those that reacted the quickest was Kitty, Archer and Bob. Now as the other 2 advanced, Archer decided to let loose a shot with his bow, but he missed his mark, so instead he gave the enemy 2 fingers. In response to that, the bandits, now alerted to the party's presence, advanced towards them, snarling and cursing. But that's about all they were able to do. And then moving on to the slower members of the team, Martin and Elaine snuck around the tents with the aim of trying to rescue the priest whilst the enemy were distracted. Peach, well, he tactically held back. Some would argue he was rooted to the spot with fear, but I'm sure it was all tactical. Now as turn 2 arrived, Brenda, Kitty and Archer activated the quickest this time. Kitty then makes her way into combat. Even with some impressive swordsmanship, it still ended in an abrupt draw. Brenda races to her friend's side, engaging one of the pillagers, neither gaining the upper hand. This time Archer's arrow finds its mark and wounds the enemy leader, heading straight towards himself and Peachy. Though some of the bandits are still some distance away, the enemy continue to close the gap. The duel between Kitty and the pillager ends in the pillager's abrupt death. Bob, on the other hand, is attacked and wounded in his duel. However, one clever pillager stays back and remains close to the priest, expecting some sneaky shenanigans. Though the fight with Bob proves uneventful, this guy's going to need some extra hours of skills and drills, methinks. Elaine and Martin sneak closer to the ruin and the priest. In a moment of bravery, more likely stupidity, Peach charges the terrifying pillager sergeant, hurtling towards their position. Somehow, however, he overcomes both the sergeant's armour and toughness, slaying the burly orc pillager. That boy's just gained himself some extra experience. Moving on to turn 3, in the quick reactions phase, Bob and Archer prove to be the fastest in responding to the situation. Archer wounds the pillager nearest to him and Peach, whilst Bob finally gains the upper hand in his fight and beheads the blighter. The bandit guard and the priest spots Elaine and Martin's somewhat dubious sneaking attempts and charges down the steps. Even though only armed with a dagger, Elaine easily dispatches this thug racing down the stairs. The orc pillager by Peach and Archer deals a severe blow to Peach, wounding and stunning him, but fortunately not killing him. And the bandit fighting Brenda loses his momentum and is quickly hacked to the ground by her enormous axe. Archer looses an arrow into the neck of the orc, hacking away at Peach, instantly ending its miserable life. Kitty continues to fight the bandit in front of her, but unfortunately it ends in a draw. And with the priest secured and rescued by Elaine and Martin, that remaining bandit fighting Kitty fails his morale and flees. Frustrated, Kitty orders Archer to silence him before he can expose their position to any Pale Cross forces nearby. Archer tries to take him out with a shot, but misses. The lone survivor escapes. Knowing they haven't long, Kitty orders a quick scavenge of the enemy encampment. Now during the resolution phase, there were no injury rolls needed, as no one was removed as a casualty. We move straight on to the experience point section. Now anyone not taken out in this fight will have earned themselves some experience points for the following: +1 for surviving the encounter, +1 for holding the field or achieving the objective, and +1 for slaying any enemy leaders. Now Kitty, Brenda and Archer all gained 2 because they survived the encounter and held the field. However, there was no advancements from any of them. However, as Peach was the only one to kill the leader and achieve all the others, he gained 3 experience points. On top of the 3 he already had, that gave him a 6 in total, which means he gains an advancement. And for his advancement, he rolled +1 for his combat skill, which kind of made sense really, because he did a little bit better this time round. Now, any followers would roll on the flash of insight tables. Elaine gets nothing, but Martin learns yet another skill. The lad's good at talking. A very eloquent fellow, so I gave him speech. However, Bob gains the moment of insight result, meaning he becomes a fully fledged hero. New mini for him then. With the party's hasty search at the enemy encampment, they were able to find hiding in plain sight a Fey steel bastard sword. As the leader of the group, Kitty decides she's going to take the incredibly well forged sword. Any Fey steel weapons or armour can never be broken or damaged, so it makes sense for the leader to have that. Then she passes a current and beloved bastard sword to Bob. After the fight, his axe is looking a little bit worse for wear, and I'm sure he can't be any worse with a blade than he is with an axe. As the party held the field or achieved the objective, they get a roll on the unusual finds table, and for that their party hears of a plot. They learn from the priest more about the Pale Cross and its involvement with Baron Blackheart. How they've been kidnapping, seizing and snatching the local population for their dark and fell rituals. The priest, Brother Greymond, reveals he is a member of the Grey Dawn, a holy order determined to purge all evil from Blackvale. Many years back, a plague ravaged the lands. At the time, the Grey Dawn were mostly healers committed to healing the sick, burying the dead and restoring hope to the lost. But even then, they knew the plague wasn't natural. It reeked of fell and dark magics. Since then, they've been searching for clues, purging the Pale Cross wherever they find them, and building up the order to better deal with the threat. However, as Brother Greymond is conversing, a horn blares from across the river. Red and black clad figures emerge from the trees and ruins. The Pale Cross hath come. With that, the Whitewood Company makes a quick exit into the woods and heads back towards Blackvale with haste. Eventually, they arrive at Blackvale in the early hours of the morning and immediately head off to their favourite tavern, the Honest Warmonger. Weasel G is at hand and pours them all a cold beer, as well as offering them a freshly roasted chicken. What a guy! Whilst the party celebrate their success, Martin accompanies Brother Greymond back to the Grey Dawn's humble priory within the city walls, as he has a thirst to study rather than drink, and partying until dawn with the other members of the group is not his idea of fun. Back at the tavern and several pints in, several black-clad guards burst in and confront the members of the Whitewood Company. Word has reached the Baron of this so-called group of mercenaries sporting a white tree design. They are accused of being involved in several illegal activities within and around the Blackvale region. They are ordered to follow the guards immediately, as the Baron wishes an audience with them. Being severely drunk and unable to hold another beer, let alone a sword, Kitty orders the group to comply and follow the guards' command. This way, they might get some answers and a little bit of fresh air. Luckily, Elaine isn't spotted and just blends into the background. As the guards lead the staggering group of heroes through the tight, narrow streets, Elaine follows quietly behind, tracking their position. Who knows what fate awaits our inebriated heroes? Will the Baron reveal his true identity? Or will he throw the members of the Whitewood Company into the dungeons? Well, you're just going to have to wait until the next episode. Farewell for now, adventurers.